I tell you, if you want to see some council drama, speaking of censor, watch some of the Big Bear council meetings. They try to censor one of their council meeting members, and it's I don't know if you've talked to anybody up there. I mean, it's going pretty crazy up there right now. Alan something. Yeah. I'd go by your phone. So it's 12 right now. Yeah.
Call this meeting to order. Cindy, could you lead us in the pledge, please? Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, okay. Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Mintz,
I am here.
Councilmember Klink,
Here.
Councilmember Bilderrain,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wright,
Here.
Mayor Ogilvy.
Here.
All present.
All right. This is the time for the public to address the city council on issues within the jurisdiction of the city council that are not on this agenda. All comments are to be directed to the city council and shall not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during their comments. There is a time limitation of 3 minutes per person. If you haven't already done so, please fill out a name and address slip and give them to the city clerk. The city council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Public comments on specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda. And we have a discussion for potential action items. Lucky Park.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The item in front of you this afternoon is that the City Council review the proposed layout and features for the Lucky Park pool and provide direction on the release of bidding, giving the current bidding market. So release of bid very specifically. So last week, we were prepared this week to go out for bid. We have our weekly meetings, Mrs. Minitry included, along with our development team. And one thing was brought up at that time as a request from the high school swim coach was that we add touch scoring system to the pool. I guess CIF has kind of changed their rules, and in the past they've done the handheld timing system, and that is not acceptable anymore with CIF. So the request was to add that to the scope of the project. In consultation with the development team, that cost would be approximately $150,000. So it is the equipment, and it could be as low as $110,000, as high as $150,000, depending on the scope. Part of which is the touch equipment, which would be affixed to the facility, and that part of it, and I think the council's heard me talk about a gutter system. However, I think the development team is looking for other means to affix it to the wall, to touch. The other part of it is a scoreboard that would, Susie swimmer, Johnny swimmer, as they go in and they touch, it would go up on the board saying, whatever, 25 seconds or whatever, time is part of it. So after that, it was a whirlwind week last week regarding Lucky Park Pool. As part of the process that we hire Tilden Coyle, which is our construction managers, and just to acknowledge them today. We have Bryant on the line here. Bryant, we can see you, but they can't. The council can't see you, or I'm sorry, the other way around. You can't see us. We can see you. Just FYI. And we have Ken. He is our design team. Is it Mueller? Bailey? No, from the pool design place. Ken, he's our pool designer here on the line as well, just in case the council has any questions. But you know, as we discussed last week, during the time frame after the touch timing system, Bryant, as Tilden Coyle did with Project Phoenix, part of their scope of work is also to check the current market conditions for bidding. Next week, or this week, we were supposed to go out for bid. So fortunately, with Project Phoenix, checking the market conditions at that time, it was good compared to our budget. This time, checking market conditions, it was not. So Tilden Coyle does not construct the project, but what they do is to check the marketplace for the contractors that ultimately would bid. Where's the market at? And his analysis last week was the cost have gone up, over around 25%, approximately about $900 and some odd thousand. So which is why I called this meeting today, just to make sure the council giving appropriate direction kind of where we're at. So two things is one, the touch scoring system, and two, the additional dollars to construct. Now, council has options, which is laid out in the staff report as it relates to, you could do one of two things. One is we do have ARPA funds available to contribute to these additional costs, okay? Or you could look to eliminate some tasks that are out there. Some of the items of potential elimination of scope, I should say, that were out there as well. One is the touch scoring system. The other would be to remove the building, the bathrooms. That building today is a complete block building, and what we were going to do is rebuild that building, but we could defer that at a cost of about $250,000 and look at it as a remodel project for the city. We, at the time of writing this report, we thought that we could remove the resurfacing of the decking. Right now, the concrete, very specifically, we thought we could remove a portion of it. However, we can't due to ADA elevations. We would have to do the whole thing. So that is not an option. The only thing that is an option there is to eliminate the pool deck, which is $60,000. That pool deck, if you recall, we added that. That's when you step on concrete in the summertime, it's hot. Well, this wouldn't be hot. Then a final is a possibility is the sliding board, which adding that was about $250,000. So those are the items, or those are the topics of consideration for the council. So just to recap, putting additional dollars towards it, or eliminating some scope of the project. Just by way of comparison, just so you see the full breadth of the ARPA money. So we received 2 tranches of ARPA money, in total $6.2 million, 3.1 last year, then we'll get 3.1 this year. So the last year monies have been accounted for, and that's delineated in that top section right there if you see my cursor. Okay, so this coming year's 3.1 has not been allocated yet. 500,000 is the only thing that has been allocated. That was from the last meeting towards wastewater. So if you choose to put additional funding towards the project, the pool project, which we have it as part of the 3.1 million, here are some of the items that I kind of heard and know of that are competing against that. One of which is Pioneer Park Theater 29. It's not approved, and the price is to be determined depending on the scope. As the council recalls, we applied for Prop 68 on it, and we were not funded, but that may be an option that the council could choose to fund. Housing, not approved, but housing has been a big topic of discussion within the community. and there's a need down there, and penciling these housing projects is always the toughest piece, and very specifically, low to moderate income housing, affordable housing. Lucky Park light decay. So if you've been down to Lucky Park, which most of you, all of you have, and you see the light poles down at Lucky Park, they're wood, they're decaying. You know, we have grass in our parks, and with grass, you need water. Water is corrosive, not only to streets, but to wood, and you know, it's to the point where we need to replace them. Ideally speaking, so we don't have to go through this again, we would like to replace them with steel poles, because if we do wood poles, it's gonna happen again, you know, again, unless we remove the grass, which I don't suspect the council wants to remove grass. Water is gonna be corrosive to those wood poles, and so we'll go through it again. And that proposal there is from 2 years ago. So I'm sure costs have increased as we're talking about today. And just by way of example too, just, you know, for your knowledge, the wood poles are about 40% of that steel pole price. So there is an option to go cheaper, which would be wood, which would be about 40% of the steel cost. Sullivan Hatch bike path, again, not approved, and that cost still to be determined, along with well, as we're talking about today, the additional resources for Lucky Park Pool, you know, anywhere from 900,000 to $1 million. And the reason that variance there is depending on what you do with the touch scoring system. Then finally, just to give the chronology of how we got here today. So last year, yeah, I guess it would be last year. So January 2021, as the council recalls, every other year, when we have a new council member, we as a body, a council body, get together in a 2-year strategic planning process, so January 2021. At that time, we talked about many things, and a lot of strategic planning is about policy. And policy at that time, I think Ms. Minitry was there at that time, we talked about the pool, and it became a priority of the council. And we did, you know, kind of talk about potentially what it could cost at that time. But once we got that policy direction, we started on the budgeting process. In the budgeting process, as we started understanding the cost of pools that are out there, we allocated, which we could afford in the budgeting process, about $1.5 million in the fiscal 21-22 budget. Subsequent to that, the ARPA legislation, President Biden's Recovery Act for COVID came about, and the city received that $6.2 million. Subsequent to that, we brought on board our technical partners, and that was Holt Architecture, who designed Project Phoenix, and Tilden Coyle, who was the construction manager of Project Phoenix. Once we brought those two on board, we started getting into the trenches as far as design. In December, once we had an idea of the scope of the project, Tilden, Coyle, Bryant evaluated the scope and said, okay, the marketplace, the estimate in the marketplace was the 3.6 million. And now, fast forwarding, now we're at the constructability time, ready to go out to bid, and the market has changed from December to March with this hyperinflation is going on, gas prices, all that confluence of things that are happening are changing the marketplace. So the proof ultimately will be in the pudding as it relates to when we bid it out there and the contractors make the proposals for construction. But based on what we're looking at in the marketplace, that's what we're looking at. So that concludes my staff report, and the team is here, as mentioned, to answer any questions. So Madam Mayor, it's back to you and to the council.
Any questions for the council?
I guess the question I have is about the this gutter system. We don't have a gutter system currently because it's the size of the pool. So a part of this cost of the 900,000, and that's what's would make the cost go up for the pool.
Well, Councilmember Mint, so So part of the 900,000, well, the 900,000 in itself is exclusive of the touch system. So that just cost increases based on the marketplace. The 150,000 over and above the 900, part of which is this gutter system. However, last week, and when this team has been trying to figure it out, the gutter system is to affix, and Ken is here today. If I say anything incorrectly, Ken, is to affix the touch system to the pool, and we think there's an alternate means to affix it to the pool. If not, there is actually additional design that needs to happen, which is going to slow the process. I don't know, Bryant, can you address that? Do we have an alternative to the gutter system to affix the touch system?
Ken, are you on the line, Ken? Maybe he's muted. Frank, so one of the things that we were looking into was right now the current deck has a lip on it, and we were going to look into being able to modify the attachment to where we don't have to retrofit the entire gutter, but that was something that we were determining whether or not we were able to do that or not.
And that's a real key, because that if we can't modify the current pool, then there's some more design that needs to go into place into the gutter system. Is that correct, Bryant? Which we'll have to upgrade, I think the pump, I believe, and other components to it, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, my main question about the gutter system, will it make the pool, A, more efficient? Will it keep it cleaner? And if we put any, obviously I have pumps at my business and motors. The bigger that I put the motor on, the more efficient it is. Will this make the pool more efficient and keep it cleaner if we add the gutter system?
And that's probably a question for Ken, Bryant, right?
That is correct. I
Oops.
do see another
Yeah.
caller here. I don't know if that is Ken on the line or not.
I assume it is, but we can't. Ken, let me call him on his cell for some reason.
Okay. Yeah, he might be having issues with the link.
Actually, I have a question for Carrie while we're waiting. Because we're talking about now the bathrooms. I haven't been in those bathrooms in a few years. Obviously, the place was built in the 1950s. How efficient are those restrooms now as far as ADA accessible and for the public?
Well, we do have ADA accessible stalls in each of the men's and women's restroom facilities. The tile in the showers and the toilets were upgraded in 2007 when the new roof was installed as well. So they're pretty accessible. They just might not be as large. That's as recommended. So.
Okay. So it's still good for the public, or is this is something that if we're going to do this, we might as well replace the whole thing?
I think a remodel would be beneficial rather than adding the two brand new facilities. I think that could save us some money. So if we do have those changing stations that don't have a roof on them that the public uses for changing in and out of their swim attire. We could actually expand and take up some of that space if we were to remodel. And it wouldn't really be a detriment because we would still have space for people to change. It just wouldn't be as large.
Right, but this is a one-time deal, so
I
wouldn't it be
know.
more efficient? Do we just replace
know.
it?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome.
So Councilmember Metz, I have Ken on the speakerphone, on my cell phone right now. And Ken, the question that was asked, did you hear the question?
I did not.
Okay.
Well, the question I have is, if with this gutter system, right now we have no gutter system in the pool. So if we added the gutter system and the bigger pumps, would it make the pump and the system more efficient and keep the pool cleaner with the gutter system?
And the answer to that, and I hope you can hear, is that the skimmer system has the same turnover rate, filtration rate as the gutter system. It only allowed on pools that have surface area less than 5,000 square feet. So at this size pool, there would be very little between the efficiency of the skimmer system and the gut system with regards to cleanliness of water and protection of public safety.
Okay, so now hanging these, the timers for the swim meets. So obviously the gutter system is more efficient to hang those and for the wiring system?
Yes, it would be because I know, and I haven't received a call back or a timing system yet. Put the touch pads on a skimmer pool, and most of the competitive swimmers don't care much for the skimmer pools because the water has a lot of turbidity and waves to it, and they feel like from a competitive standpoint that slows down the swimmers. So that's why you don't see many skimmer pools on competitive pools. So there is a merit to have the cantilever or rip flow style continuous gutter pools because they tend to quell the wave quell.
Okay, well, it broke up. So what is better for the swimmers? The gutter system? The gutter system is better for the swimmers.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ken, you're breaking up a bit, but if you could hear me, I'll just kind of recap to the.
Okay.
So what you said basically is the gutter system is better from competitive swimming perspective, versus the skimmer. In summary.
Yes.
Okay.
I got a question, Ken, but it is doable without the gutter system, correct?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I heard that Colorado Time is going to have a special hook for a skimmer pool that hooked on the safety grab. I just haven't seen one. I was calling about what they were, but these guys have seen them before. That's what they do. So you can get that solved.
You get that? So you're breaking up, Ken. So the answer to the question again, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong. What I heard you say, there is the ability to hang the scoring system outside of the gutter.
Yeah, the touch pads.
The touch pads. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question. What are the other schools doing that have pools that are not already made for this? How do they?
So Ken, are you dealing with this with other schools? I guess CIF has changed it this year and not doing the handheld. Are you coming across this with other pools and other schools?
I am not, because this is a little on the small side for most of the pools that we do. Most of our pools are 38 meters to 50 meters, 5 yards wide. And so being a community pool like this is a little different.
Yeah. Did you hear that?
Yeah. And then next thing is, why is this even a city's issue? This is a school issue. So people should be banging on the school district's meetings, asking why they're not getting this money for the touch pads. Like, that park is for the community to go swim in cool reality. Use the pool for the swim, I'm all about it too, but if we gotta change the pool to use the equipment, I could do that, but who's paying for the equipment? Shouldn't be the city.
And I have another question. Is this a rule for CIF, or is this a recommendation?
I believe it's going to be a new rule that'll be coming down the pipeline.
How soon?
That I don't know. I don't have an answer. I can reach out to Miss Michelle or Miss Irene and ask them if they have any additional information that I can share with the council.
And maybe to follow up to maybe further answer that question to both your questions, and Bryant, Ken, can this be added later? Does it need to be added now, or can it be added later?
And yes, it can be added later.
Okay.
I mean, this is something that, if this is something construction-wise,
To each of the starting blocks, things like that, will be on the deck, so it'll be laid out on the deck, which I believe that's what you want to do anyway, so that you can store them completely and get them out of the weather when you're not using them.
So it can be added later.
No. construction-wise, it makes sense to get it done now instead of remodeling just like this. That makes total sense. and I'm okay whatever we decide on how to do it, to do the right thing. But when it comes down to the equipment, the touch pads and the scoreboard, why is that even coming to us right now? I understand getting the pool ready for them, but when it comes down to the equipment needed with the scoreboard and the touchpad, who's paying for that?
Well,
I
that,
know they're looking at us, but it's like, why are
Yeah.
they looking at us?
well, I reached out to Irene this morning because she said she couldn't be here, and she said she found out on March 10th, and then she just said that CIF is not going to accept handheld automatic or handheld times anymore, and it's a new rule change that they just found out this year, so, or just at March 10th, because that was one of the questions I asked her, like, when did you find this out? Why didn't you tell us back in September? Now, in our conversation, she said, as far as they can get a portable scoreboard, but that's just, or they could, we could ask them to pay for it, that part, the actual equipment. But I guess where I'm at right now is, if we're gonna do this, and this is gonna be a long-term thing, then at least we could make it set up, and then we can probably worry about the scoring later. I mean, that's something external, as long as we get the wiring in there for the keypads and the. But yeah, we don't.
And this is not against the swim team. I want to support them, everything. I want the school district and school board to do their job and support the kids just as much as we're going to do it. We're ready to do the resource officer. We're already using the softball fields at Luckie Park. You saw what happened in COVID. They shut the gyms down on us, like, forget it. But we didn't ever stop them. So now it's like, it's time for the public to start going to those meetings and start getting the school district, school board to do their job, support these kids, and not always come to the city to hand out everything to them. We want to support them, but we got to put some boundaries on this too, because we have other things we got to take care of citywide, not just the school's pool. It's not the school's pool; it's a city pool.
I agree, and I think, even if they had offered a small token, instead of saying, here's the bill, this is what we need, and pay for it.
Can we come up with a payment plan? Can they come up with, in the next 10 years, we'll pay this amount to pay it back? I mean,
Well, yeah, the actual the scoreboard and the actual touch pads, I agree with you. That's something that they should be coming up with some money for it. But the actual infrastructure part, they're not going to pay for that, because they haven't paid for anything on that.
and I'm okay with making the pool ready for them and making it standard and everything they need to set up, even the wiring for the scoreboard that's going to go there.
Right.
I'm all for it, but I'm not. Why are we paying for? When are we going to use the scoreboard? During relay races at day camp? When are we going to use it? It's going to be them.
Okay, well then, I agree with them. I definitely feel that we should make this structurally ready for the timers, which put the gutters in. I know it's going to cost us money for that part, but I'm also, when we're talking about taking out certain things that we've already said we want to do, this thing was built in 1950. I'd like to have we put in Freedom Plaza was a one-time deal. We bought, the bonds were sold. Now look at it and look at the reception we got from it. I feel that we got one-time chance with this ARPA money to really put a nice facility in 29 Palms, and I'd like to put that nice facility in here for our future people and the kids in this community. Now, as far as the timing devices, we can leave that off, the actual timing device, but I feel we should make this pool ready for it and design it so we have a nice pool. And I'm talking about redoing the bathrooms, not just remodeling, doing what we said we were going to do before.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to cost us $1.1 million, but I really think this is a one-time opportunity to put something really nice in 29 Palms, something that's really going to be used. It's not, and I say nice, this, the downtown, look what it's already started. It's already, we got new businesses coming in, just what we wanted to do, new tax dollars. Now this is something the community really could use. And as far as staff, is this something that you really feel that this is a one-time deal that we should really move forward? I'm not trying to put you on a spot, but you know what?
I do, yes.
Okay.
If there's funding available, absolutely, I'm all for it. Yes.
And
I don't really think it's an issue of not to do the pool. I think we all are in agreement. We want the pool done. We want it to be done right, because you're absolutely right. We're not guaranteed any more money, but I think that, sure, let's get the guts, let's do the wiring and all that and prep for, and then revisit all this over again.
Yeah,
you're talking about the time equipment.
Yes.
Yes, I agree with that.
I concur. Let's do everything right the first time. I mean, whatever it is.
Which includes the gutters, the gutter system?
Yes.
So just one thing just to bring up, I think I have it attached here. So here's the schedule that we currently have in place. High school swim season starts the end of January, beginning of February, and we're kind of lined up with that, which is February 10th, to be done with construction. If we have to do and just so everybody's aware of kind of the timing and all this, and then Bryant, please, if you can kind of comment back on this, and/or Ken. So if we go back and look at the gutter system, it's probably going to be another delay of, what do you think, Brian, to redesign this portion of it, or Ken? And obviously it'll be a swag time frame, but 3 weeks?
Yeah, I would imagine 3 to 4 weeks in,
Yeah. And I would
Ken's side of the architect side to repackage it up to a point that we can go out to bid and issue it out to bidders.
Well, they're running their season now, correct? So
Yes,
if
they
they're delayed, then that's not our fault on this one.
Okay.
But we, like I say, this is for the, like Steve said, this is for the community also. This is not just for the swim team, and our main focus is to get us a nice pool that it's going to last. Well, this one was 72 years. Let's make this one last 100. So I'm just saying, that's where I'm at.
My big concern is we have to pay for it all again. And the school district has to give us money. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be voting for it. Because it's just not fair that this is for their students, and now if we don't do it, then their times will not count. And that's something that the school district needs to think about. And then, what about Yucca Valley? Do they still have their pool?
They use, Yucca Valley Swim Team uses the high school pool.
And do
So
they
it's a
have
little bit
timers?
different scenario. They don't. I think they have a gutter system, but I think they're handheld as well.
So
Yeah, I
they're
don't
gonna
think they
have
a
to probably
timing
do the same
system.
thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the district, that's the school district's pool, right?
That's correct. Yes.
So
And
what are
they'll
they gonna
probably
do
give money
there? Are
to
they
it.
gonna do the same thing? Are they gonna pay for it over there and leave 29 Palms?
They probably will.
Like, 29 Palms is just way over here, who cares?
And
That's not right. And I wanna find out first before I vote on this, if they're going to do that in Yucca, if they're gonna pay for it. Because now they've been told that they have to have it if they want everything to be counted. And if they're gonna do it there, they need to help pay for it over on this side as well.
So I did inquire to the school district, and I got a response today. They don't have the funding for this. Now, I didn't ask about Yucca, but as far as 29 Palms, they said they didn't have the funding for it. So.
Then, you know what, Councilmember Klink has made a very valid point. If they can assist one location, why can't they assist the other location? Why is it that there's nothing for us?
We
Well,
just
I-
have to find out if they're gonna do that in
Yeah.
Yucca.
I will mention that in the email that Irene had sent me last year, she had mentioned something about a fundraising effort for 29 Palms High School for their score for touchpad system. So I don't know how that's going to pan out, but she did mention it in the email that she was planning to do some type of fundraising for 29 Palms.
I mean, that's great, but you're telling kids to fundraise
Yeah.
for something that should be, that's like us fundraising for softballs to play a game, or that's like, there comes a point where you're fundraising for new uniforms and, trips or helmets, like you want a different helmet, but when it comes to the needs of the sport, that's where the school district comes in, Stop locking everything down, let kids do stuff, then you probably make more money, but they vote them in, so I guess they're just as bad as us sometimes, I guess, huh?
Well, just because of time, and I really get trust me, I'm sitting up here. I know, for working for the school district for 22 years, I know where this is all going. I'm not going to say anything else because I get fired. So, I'm going to stop there. But I will like to make a motion, if we're ready for one, that we move forward with all the pool improvements that we've had, and we add the 1.1 million to the budget to move forward.
Question.
Well, before I vote, because I ain't saying nothing yet, but my point, or my point of view, I guess you could say, is that I think that we need to consider the children. And I agree with, everybody saying that the school has to come up with money, especially for the actual equipment. I agree with that, but we need to give our kids the same advantages that other schools have because we're so remote. And so if we provide that gutter system, then I heard him say that it actually gives them a faster time. You know, vice the skimmer, where it says it slows them down. Well, they need that advantage because we're considered a disadvantaged community. And so our kids need as much advantage as they can get, you know, to get these college scholarships and to get those types of things like that. So I don't have a problem with us putting the money where we need to put it for the community for our children. And I do agree 100%, especially if they're going to do something in Yucca Valley, that it should be all the schools in the Morongo School District, you know, and I agree that the schools should be the ones trying to figure out, or the school board should be trying to figure out how to get these new touchpads in the Morongo School District, you know, but I still think that we need to do this, you know, this gutter system or whatever we need to do to make sure that our kids have the advantage that they, like everybody else has. So that's what
I have one question. Can we wait to vote until we find out the information about the school district?
Yes. Well, so what I'm hearing direction-wise is, because it's going to take us 3-4 weeks to design this. So there is no action that is going to, as far as bidding action, that's going to be happening for another month or so. And just thinking out loud here, so those additional $1 million I wouldn't need until after $1 million that we get back out. So we could delay that. And just one point to that, as it relates to the school, you know, potentially I'm thinking in my head, one of the things that the school district may be deferring to, at least in Yucca Valley, is the council is aware, they have that aquatic center that the town of Yucca Valley is building. So I'm guessing that the school district is kind of pushing it off on that. And to, you know, I
Well,
wonder
So
if
they'll
it's-
have to
Well,
pay
we
for
could
it.
still vote on this,
I
and,
wonder.
because I didn't put in there about the actual score, the actual touchpad system, because that's what we're talking about, not paying for the touchpad system, but paying for the pool. And, yeah, so we can move forward with that, but we just, yeah, I'm not in favor of paying for the touchpad system at this time, not at all. So, but we could still move forward.
What we're voting on is make sure the pool's ready.
Yes.
So whoever gets that,
Yeah.
pays for that touchpad system is ready to just plug and
Yes,
go.
that's what,
Yeah.
that was my motion. That's what my
Which
motion.
means you're putting in the gutter system ready for that.
Yeah.
So you're not putting the actual touch pads and everything in yet.
No, I didn't put that in my motion, no.
Okay. Okay.
Second.
So what was your motion?
My motion was to upgrade the pool, keep all the improvements that we had before, and that we upgrade the system with the gutter system and the wiring for the touchpad and the scoreboard, but not the touchpad system itself. And he approximately said 1.1 million. That was my motion.
Still second.
Yeah, that was my second.
Councilmember Klink,
Aye.
Councilmember Buildering,
Aye.
Councilmember Mintz,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Ogilvy.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
And just for clarification, the 1.1 million is an augmentation over the monies that we currently have. So. Okay. Staff has direction. Thank you.
There's nothing else. This meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, Kent. Thanks, Bryant.